Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. I wanted to give you guys an update on the stimulus package and what's going on with that. Many of you have been asking what Congress is going to do in terms of the stimulus. And, like usual, they're kind of fighting it out. But this is one of those few areas where they are actually getting things done and in a pretty rapid order, which is not normal for our Congress because we know sort of how they do things. First thing I'll say is that according to Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, they've reached what he calls a fundamental agreement in terms of sort of what they think another package might look like and how they might want to proceed. I think that's good. Also, the Republicans are kind of stuck on this idea that only people making under $40,000 a year should receive a stimulus. I don't agree with that because I think that there are other families above 40,000 that need the money. But one of the things that is true than poor families. They tend to have more money stacked for a rainy day, more investments, more side streams of income, assets they can sell, particularly middle class people that maybe have homes or 401ks they can borrow against. So at the very least, I think we can all agree, I hope we can agree that everybody in that lower income category deserves that money fast. And they're also more likely to spend it because they need to use that money to pay bills. And so according to most experts, if they did restrict that requirement to $40,000 a year or $80,000 for couples, they would actually cut out another 60 million people who were eligible for the first stimulus in the CARES Act, which would be very, very bad. So it's not likely to pass. Also, they're very likely to extend the unemployment benefits, which is good. That $600 a week has upset a lot of Republicans because they feel that you shouldn't be paid $600 a week or more money than you made from your job to stay home. And so I think that where they're going to compromise is I think they're going to extend the $600 a week or something close to it. Because unemployment has been insane. I mean, the number of filings has been ridiculous. And I told you guys, I think that, given that there's a 1 in 2,000 chance of dying or being hospitalized from corona, I think that there's a better way to do it than shutting down everything. I think you can protect people, help them feel safe without necessarily telling them they can't go out and make a living. But they're going to continue the $600 a week. But what they're talking about are some sort of bonuses that will incentivize employers to rehire people, giving them tax credits and incentivize employees to want to come back to work. So it's possible that they could pass something that says, look, if you go find a job, we'll give you extra money on top of your paycheck. So you can be making more money than you were making when you were unemployed and you benefit the economy. And also they're talking about the PPP loans. One issue with the PPP loans is that a lot of the PPP loans were not going in the places they needed to go. Studies have found that employers who receive PPP loans, actually, they laid off just as many people as the companies that didn't get the PPP loans, which is crazy, right? And I'm gonna tell you what's probably going on. I know a lot of business owners, of course, and I believe that with the PPP loans, what was going on was a lot of companies were afraid to invest in new employees. They didn't have the business to support that. It didn't make sense logically to hire new people when everything shut down, nobody's going out. And so they were looking to save money and they were looking at self-preservation. And that's what happens when you have an economy that's built on fear or lack of trust. That fear and lack of trust keeps people from spending money. It keeps people from making investments. It keeps the customers at home. It keeps the banks from lending. It keeps the employers from hiring. It keeps the employers from making the infrastructural investments. Like American Airlines, for example, had just spent billions of dollars revamping their entire fleet, buying all these planes right before Corona hit. And they were saying, God, if we had known that this was going to happen, we wouldn't have bought all those damn planes, because a lot of times when you plan for a big party, you expect people to arrive. So basically, it's understandable why an employer would be afraid to just dole out any new money that comes in. But what they're trying to do now is make sure that it doesn't happen again. They're going to actually incentivize employers to hire people. They're going to give them direct tax credits, most likely, that will incentivize them when they actually do hiring. I also believe that they should be more selective about which companies get PPP loans. You can't just give a bunch of money to every single company that's out there for two reasons. One, because you have zombie companies. Zombie companies were companies that were going to go bankrupt before Corona, and they're doing better because of the pandemic than they were doing before the pandemic. And that's because they couldn't get financing before the pandemic because they were bad companies. They were going out of business. They didn't have any customers. They didn't know how to run their operation efficiently. Now you've supported these zombie companies. The second reason why you don't want to just dole money out to anybody who ask for it is because there are some companies who just don't need the money. There are some companies, the industry leaders have access to capital. They also have money stacked in reserves. They're prepared for a rainy day. Maybe they are stay-at-home companies that are actually benefiting financially from the pandemic. So why not take some of those resources that would go toward, these companies that don't need the money and give it to the companies that need it? When you're talking about restaurants and stuff like that, man, it's so sad to see so many businesses, local businesses, going out of business. And I remember seeing Home Depot making a killing, Target, Walmart making a killing because they were allowed to stay open in my town during the pandemic. And I just thought that was wrong and sad. I think the small businesses could have also done social distancing, but for some reason they weren't allowed to open up. That was unfair. Also, they are talking about evictions. They're going to help companies there is conversation about protecting people from eviction. A lot of people can't pay their rent. This hurts both the person being evicted and the landlord. So they're looking to work on that in both sides. Remember, every economy is like a seesaw. You got the producers and the consumers, right? So you got the landlords and the renters. Landlords need help because they put pressure on the renters because they don't have the rent money. So they're going to come up with programs, hopefully, to help the landlords. And then they're also going to come out with assistance to help the renters. Maybe just sort of maybe a moratorium on evictions, maybe putting some money in their pocket so they can pay their rent. And then also providing financing to the landlord helps the landlord to maintain their mortgage, while the renters can't necessarily pay the way they thought they could. There was conversation about a payroll tax cut. That's something that Trump is really pushing to cut basically the share that employers and employees pay on payroll taxes. I see that as something that is more of a long-term infrastructural change that they're trying to push through because they have a good crisis to work with. Rahm Emanuel, Obama's buddy in Chicago, he had a great quote, an interesting quote, a very revealing quote that said, "You never waste a good crisis." And so I think that there are a lot of politicians who are maneuvering right now to say, what long-term benefits can we create out of this crisis? Like, how can we make sure that my district or my party benefits, long term from this? And for example, when Ronald Reagan got shot back in the early 80s, there were Republicans who pushed through legislation in the early 80s, because that still exists today. And the reason they were able to push it through is because when Reagan got shot, everybody felt sorry for him. He had the whole country on his side. He could have came in there and asked them for $1 trillion. They would have gave it to him. And as a result, they passed legislation in the 80s that still affects you today. In fact, it was instrumental in creating the massive deficits and wealth gaps that we have in our society right now. And this happened way back when John Hinckley Jr. decided to pull the trigger and try to take Reagan out. So a lot of politicians are maneuvering. When there is a crisis, just know there are people that are panicking, but then there are people that are plotting. So I'm not telling you to plot to hurt somebody. I'm telling you to plot for your family because there are opportunities out here, but you got to be able to stick and move. You can't just sit in the same spot. So be aware, be informed, make decisions, make moves, use this as a chance to change your life for the better. Maybe you want to homeschool your kids. Maybe you want to get that business started. Maybe you want to pick up a new skill. Maybe you'll find a new survival mechanism that'll help you actually prosper better after this is over. Do all of that because this is sort of a reset button on the entire world and the world we live in. And I think this is, in an awkward way, this could possibly be an opportunity to make your life better when it's done. So that's it, guys. I'm out of here. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. Make sure you subscribe to the Black Financial Channel. And also, if you want a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, just go to allblackeconomics.com. That's allblackeconomics.com. Sign up there. You'll get free stuff in your email every day from the Black Business School that will help you economically. Last but not least, we've got the Black Stock Market Weekend coming up, the weekend of August 7th. It is virtual. And for that whole weekend, for 3 straight days, I'm going to explain to you my 11-step methodology for adding stocks to my portfolio. It's proprietary. It's something that I haven't broken down for anybody else. It's not something you're going to find in a textbook, but as a finance PhD, we don't just read books, we write books. We don't just regurgitate ideas, we come up with new ideas. So I designed it specifically for you and for Black people, because that's what we do in the Black Business School. So if you're interested, feel free to go to blackstockmarketweekend.com. That's blackstockmarketweekend.com. I'll see you soon. Have a good day. Take care, everybody. Peace.